After the Passover meal, the Lord Jesus and his 11 disciples had gone to the Mount of Olives, a hill just to the east of Jerusalem, as they usually did when they were in the Jerusalem area. Jesus, knowing all that would happen, had been in an agony of prayer. He knew that he'd be very soon facing the terrible pain of being nailed to a wooden cross. But far, far worse than that was what he'd suffer at God's hands, taking the punishment that we deserve for all the wrong things that we've done. The Lord Jesus had told his disciples to pray that they wouldn't give in to temptation, but rather than praying, they slept. He came back to them and reminded them of the importance of that message. We'll now read Luke chapter 22, verses 47 to 53. While he was still speaking, there came a crowd, and the man called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He drew near to Jesus to kiss him, but Jesus said to him, "Judas, would you betray the Son of Man with a kiss?" And when those who were around him saw what would follow, they said, "Lord, shall we strike with the sword?" And one of them struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear. But Jesus said, "No more of this." And he touched his ear and healed him. Then Jesus said to the chief priests and officers of the temple and elders who come out against him, "Have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs? When I was with you day after day in the temple, you didn't lay hands on me. But this is your hour and the power of darkness." As the Lord Jesus was speaking to his disciples, the 12th disciple, Judas, came. But he wasn't alone. He was leading a crowd, including some of those who hated the Lord Jesus, the chief priests and elders, and with them the officers of the temple. Judas came near to Jesus to greet him with a kiss. Although Luke doesn't mention this, that kiss was a signal to the officers, showing who they were to arrest. It was night, it would be dark, and they didn't want to get the wrong man or for Jesus to escape. So a signal was needed, and the signal was a kiss in greeting. A kiss is a friendly gesture, and it prompted the Lord Jesus to say to Judas, "Judas, would you betray the Son of Man with a kiss? Would you pretend to show affection as you betray me?" It was despicable behavior. The other disciples had misunderstood what the Lord Jesus had said earlier about swords. They asked whether they should fight, and without waiting for an answer, one of them started waving a sword around. We know from the other biographies of the Lord Jesus that this was Simon Peter, in fact, and all he succeeded in doing was slicing off the ear of the high priest's servant. Jesus was not pleased, and he healed the servant's ear. So there was a healing, a miracle, even for those who come to take him. What wonderful kindness the Lord Jesus showed. Jesus then asked the leaders of this group why they come with swords and clubs to arrest him. Every day he'd been teaching in the temple, and they hadn't taken him then. The chief priests, officers, elders, they didn't reply. We know that the reason why they'd not tried to take him in the temple was that they were frightened of the people. Many of the people remembered the miracles performed by the Lord Jesus, and some still thought well of him. But this was the time for those who wanted to get rid of him, and it was time for Satan to exercise some power. It was time for the power of darkness. These men who come against the Lord Jesus were to be allowed for a short time to fully express their hatred against him and against God. For a short time, Satan would be allowed to do what he wanted to do. Here's something for us to think about. The Lord's kindness to those who came to arrest him, that shows his character of love and grace.